Yo folks and welcome. It's that time of the year, the end of the year, where we decide the best gacha games of 2022. Just note this list is based off of my opinions, no particular order. Let's jump right into this. First things being is Disney Twisted Wonderland, the male wife husbando turn-based sim otome style sorta game. And I say sorta with a huge emphasis because Disney Twisted Wonderland is actually a proper turn-based RPG, and I love to see it because there's so many husbando games that have, the sim style. We're just going through cutscenes and dating and, just getting to know the character. Disney Twisted Wonderland took it a step above by having Disney villains portrayed in the fashion of going to school, and you actually get to take them to classes and you get to upgrade them, get to know them in a more familiar fashion, and not to mention there's actual decent gameplay in this one. And I love that because a lot of the times husbando games, they sort of pump and dump the same sort of technique, the same genre, the same gameplay mechanics. This one, it was its own style. It actually took itself seriously, it provided a proper game, and I just want to celebrate the fact that Disney Twisted Wonderland was actually a decent game, especially for 2022. If you look at the Google Play reviews, it had 4.3 ratings, 100k downloads, 4.8 ratings on the app stores, and then on the rev fronts it did 4 million in JP and then 200k on the global front, which I think was really good. Then we got the Alice Fictions. This is a puzzle RPG turn-based second. Now when it comes to this game, I thought it was really fun based off of the mechanical style where you have a bunch of tiles in front of you, and if you got like a 3 combo or there's 3 characters or 4 characters, it was sort of like a cross between like 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross, except the automatic like smashing of like skills was there, but obviously on a different sub level. And this also had like a really good soundtrack. Its story design was really great. I thought its graphical style was something that I absolutely loved. It hit every single nail as far as being like a unique gacha for 2022. My only thing was that it was so different. It was difficult to grind in some ways, and not every single time I want to do like the match style sort of gameplay. But at the end of the day, I still thought it was great. I think it's deserving of the 2022 like best gacha games on the list for sure. On the Goog fronts, it got 4.5 ratings, 500k downloads. It got 4.9 ratings, which is pretty high. And then on the rev fronts, it did 90k, so pretty decent overall. And then we have the Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent. Do I recommend this game? Did I like it? I definitely recommend it. It's on the list for a reason. Its HD 2D feel was absolutely phenomenal. It is Octopath except ×2 because you have more characters you interact with. There are more enemies. I would say the enemies here are even harder. So yeah, if you love Octopath, if you love a turn-based RPG, you had like Bravely Default on your DSs, or you've had like games where you're given like a gambling mechanic where you can take more turns in order to deal more attacks, or you can, subjugate more turns. You can fall back a little in order to save your attacks. Then you'll really love Octopath Traveler. Provided something unique, and I absolutely loved it. And I think it was one of the better games for turn-based RPGs on this more classical style. It might not be for everyone because the characters, they could be a little bit difficult to control. The enemies might be a little bit too difficult. The scaling of power was just a little bit hard to grasp in order to get your head around it. But at the end of the day, I thought it was really great and one of the better entrants for 2022, that's for sure. And on the Google Play fronts, we got 4.2 ratings, 500k downloads. We also have 4.7 ratings on the app stores, and then on the rev fronts it did 600k, so pretty decent overall. And on the Dislytes, this is going to be another great game for 2022. I think it has the best soundtrack of 2022. Some would argue other games, but to me they really put heavy emphasis on BGM and the OST and like the overall feel and the UI design. It is still reminiscent of something like Summoner's War or Epic 7. It has like, the very crazy gear grind, and the skills that you cast in this game, they're absolutely insane. They have like paragraph long like text on it. But it was something that I really liked based off of the things that you could collect and the designs. But some people might not like the more westernized feel of it because of the fact that the characters look a little bit too 3D, not enough anime. But I think it was something new and really fun to play overall in the year of 2022. I highly recommend it, especially if you love like that Summer's War Epic 7 style. And then when it comes to the Google Plays, it got 4.3 ratings, 1 million downloads, and then 4.6 ratings on the app stores, with the revs of 800k for this month in particular. Just note, you know, the revs are based off of months. Then we got Tower of Fantasy. This was supposed to be the Genshin killer, and quickly on that, I think Tower of Fantasy is a completely different genre, but more into the game. I thought the gameplay for Tower of Fantasy was really amazing. It was fun, it was unique, it definitely had that tactile feel after revisions of going over the betas and everything, and it was more of like an open world social aspect. You could see more players, you could interact with more people, and where Genshin is more single player based. So Tower of Fantasy has a slew of activities. It could be #1 on some people's list because of those activities and the things that you go to sort of see, interact with. It has like more ways to travel. It's just a more expansive world, but it's almost like too much to handle in some ways, and I think that's what holds Tower of Fantasy a little bit back, because it has so many mechanics, it has so many things you can do, it has so many features that it almost feels like way too encompassing, way too many things for you to just enjoy. And for me, it might be like, you know, information overload, but some would say and argue otherwise. 4.3 ratings on the Google fronts, 5 million downloads, and then we got 4.3 ratings on the app stores. On the rev fronts, it did 6 million. That's huge, right? And then we also have Artery Gear Fusion on the list. This is another HD 2D style turn-based RPG. It's not classical because, you know, Octopath Traveler had more PvE sense. Artery Gear Fusion definitely focuses on the PvP, more social aspects of the game, which I definitely like. And I think it was my favorites on those aspects alone. But the thing that hurt Artery Gear Fusion and why it's not higher on the list was the content it provided was a little bit too fast paced. It was too quick. And I didn't really enjoy the fact that it felt like every single week there was a must pull banner. And I know some people would be like, hey, that's like typical Gacha stuff. But at the end of the day, I think you could do better, and hopefully 2023 it does better with, you know, the other games that Billy decides to release. But I still think Artery Gear Fusion's overall gameplay format was really fun. Your turn-based but more beautified, like, you know, HD 2D style was just something I really loved, and that's why I put it a little bit more ahead of Octopath Traveler. Google Play fronts, it got 4.2 ratings, 500k downloads. App stores have this at a 3.9, a little bit low. And on the rev fronts, it did 200k, so pretty decent overall. Then we got Nikke, another heavy hitter of 2022. It was genre defining with the way it placed its waifus, and, you know, the look of the waifus is definitely a cut above compared to all of the gacha games on the list. I think Nikke has the best looking waifus on the list. Definitely best jiggle physics as well, and it caused a lot of problems for November, if you know what I mean. But the thing that holds back Nikke is the bugs, the monetization, the constant drama that flows within this game. But I think that's what also makes Nikke so special, is because of the fact that it's always getting the limelight, it's always getting the attention. And there's not a lot of games that always gets attention, if that makes any sense. Whether it's good or bad, that's something for you to argue. But I would say Goddess Nikke of Victory is definitely worth a check out. The gameplay of building your teams around the 1, 2, 3 skills, and then having like a shotgun focused team, a sniper focused team, SMG, a combination of all those things. And it actually mattered in order to, you know, have these different varying units and getting to know the actual skills. You know, there might be some units who are just really best in slot, but at the end of the day, people built whatever they want. They could do whatever they want. And that's what I really appreciate about Nikke. My one thing is there's way too many SSRs, so not a lot of flexibility on the lower ratings, but they provide a bunch of free pulls. And there was also, you know, something to be had with the different SSRs. Hopefully it continues to be more free-to-play friendly by providing free pulls and allowing people to experience all these different characters that they implement. And I hope nothing for the best, because I think Nikke was my most fun game to play on my mobile device, if I were to say anything else about it. 4.3 ratings on the Google fronts, 1 million downloads. Also got 4.7 ratings on the app stores. On the revs, 37 million, the largest and biggest on the list. Then we got Marvel Snap. Some would argue this is the #1 game once again. Now, the only thing why it's not higher on the list is because Marvel Snap is a particular genre. It is card-based style, and some would argue it's not a gacha system. But to me, every single time you draw a card, there's a randomization factor. You also collect heroes in this one. So I think Marvel Snap hits all of the boxes. I think it had some of the best design UI wise. It has some of the best gameplay. It is the most free to play on this list. And Marvel Snap deserves the attention and love that it's currently getting as the #1 game, the game of the year in some eyes. But it's not #1 on my list, but I thought I'd mention it mostly because of the fact that I played it. I thought it was fun. I haven't done a video on it mostly because of time, but definitely worth your attention. And if you love like that turn-based Hearthstone style gameplay, then I think Marvel Snap will be something that you will absolutely love because it puts a spin on those mechanics and absolutely does like a well adaptation of the Marvel series. And it's just really fun to play at the end of the day. 4.6 on the Google Plays, 5 million downloads, that's a huge one. And then not to mention its 4.8 ratings on the App Store is absolutely insane. We also have the Revs 4 million, one of the biggest of the year. And then we got NeuroCloud. Some would say, why isn't this higher on the list? All I would argue is that NeuroCloud is one of those games that's really difficult for everyone to grasp. It has some of the most difficult gameplay because of how many things are appearing on the screen and all the different factors that you have to take into account. It's insanely grindy because of the amount of gameplay that you can get from like expending your stamina. Even though it's auto chess, there's a lot of thought put into it, and I thought the storytelling was pretty decent overall. But where NeuroCloud shines is the fact that it's insanely grindy. There's so much content to tackle at a constant pace, and I think it's just one of those games that gave you a lot of bang for your buck. You could play it for almost an indefinite amount of time, not to mention it's part of the Girls Frontline series, so you know this is not going to get abandoned no matter what because the Girls Frontline devs absolutely support the heck out of their game. So don't be afraid, no matter what you hear, NeuroCloud is going to be a long-standing game, and it's one of the best gameplay experiences that I have had in 2022, regardless of the recency bias, because you know it released like maybe a month or a couple months ago. It's fairly fresh. On the Google Play fronts, it's 4.6 100K downloads. We also have it at 4.7 ratings on the app stores, and then on the rev front, it's doing 400K, so pretty decent overall. And then finally, the #1 game on the list. Are you guys surprised? You shouldn't be. Path to Nowhere is the complete package when it comes to the best gacha game of 2022. Might be wondering, how is Path to Nowhere a little bit better than Marvel Snap, NeuroCloud, Nikke, all of the games that I've talked about, Tower of Fantasy? If you think about the gameplay, it is insanely difficult and very in-depth. The tower defense mechanics are absolutely insane. Not to mention there's a lot of maneuverability because you can constantly switch up the placement of units. And then if you look at the storytelling, it's easily one of the best. It could be one of like the best in like, you know, years that we've had in gacha gaming history. It is so indicative of like this prison style, but also getting to know your waifus and just getting more emotional factor in there. I think Path to Nowhere nailed the story absolutely every single time. The events are amazing. And then the voice acting for EN, like the JP voice acting, the KR voice act, the CN voice, all of the voice acting in this is insane. It's one of the best. It's a complete package. That's what makes Path to Nowhere the best. It has the gameplay, it has the story chops, it has the UI design, it has, you know, the voice acting, it has every single quality aspect to a gacha game that I would want. It's the whole package. There's not one thing that's falling off. Its monetization is pretty good as well. So overall, I would highly recommend Path to Nowhere. I think it's the best gacha game of 2022. I think anyone can play it. And then on Google fronts, it got 4.5 ratings, 1 million downloads, and then it got 4.8 ratings, pretty high. On the rev fronts, 4 million. My one thing with Path to Nowhere, I hope it doesn't fall into the Alchemy Stars sort of bin, where it is really great. It's genre defining in its own ways, but the marketing, the PR, and everything sort of falls flat. Alchemy Stars had a bunch of unique concepts. It introduced like insane things with open world, and like these events were insane. I think Path to Nowhere is doing something similar, but I just don't want it to fall in the category of being, you know, that one-hit wonder for the year, because I really like Path to Nowhere and I hope people get to see more of it. Let's go into special mentions. First ones is Arrowmancer. I really love the AI art in this one. I know some people don't like it, but the fact that I could create any husbando, any waifu that I would want and put it in the game and play it, I thought that was insane. It was one of those unique concepts that I loved. We also have Counterside Global that released. It's doing its Hollow Myth collab, and it's not on the list because it's released like a million times. It was on my list last time, but this would easily be on my top 5 for one of the best gacha games of 2022 for sure. And then we have Rise of Eros. It was one of the NSFW titles. There was a slew of NSFW titles, but Rise of Eros was number 1 for me, mostly because of the fact that it is really crazy on the graphics, and not to mention the skills are really great. You know. Then we have New Carnival. This was also an NSFW husbando male wife game. I don't know if like everyone will play it because everyone's like, has a different particular taste, but I thought I'd talk about it because it was really good. And I don't know if it released in 2022, but if you're into the NSFW husbando material, it's a pretty decent one. We also have Full Metal Alchemist JP. In some ways, I would say this is my number 1 JP game because of its UI design, the gameplay, everything about it was just really fun. I could come back to it, had idle mechanics. It had every single game genre slapped into one game, and it was just really fun to play. So I recommend for you guys to check it out once it gets its EN global release one day. And then of course, we have to talk about Heavens Burns Red. It is the JP success story that I did not see coming. It does wonderfully on the revenue fronts, and I think it's going to get an EN release, but just note with Heavens Burns Red, it is story driven, so it might not be for everyone, but I thought I'd mention it as one of my favorite games of 2022. And then we have our gold standard games. These are the best games in its class for gacha gaming overall. First up, Fate Grand Order. It's the classic, the granddaddy. We've heard it time and time again. It just does anime graphics and turn-based RPGs well. Of course, the quality of life could do some work, and monetization, it still has some work on its pity system, but it's still one of the best games of 2022 and overall gacha games, that's for sure. We also have Epic 7. I replaced Summoner's War with this one, mostly because Epic 7 is the game I come back to, whereas Summoner's War is just something I look back to. Like, I actually play Epic 7 once in a while when they have events and just really cool collabs, such as the ReZero stuff and all the different things. So yeah, Epic 7 on the list, gold standard, turn-based RPG. And then we have Arknights. To no surprise, it's the best tower defense. I think Path to Nowhere is on a different league, and then Arknights is on its own entire league. So I don't think they compete with each other as tower defenses goes, but the Arknights series is expansive. It has its own anime now, and not to mention, like, people still love playing it, and it's still like one of the best games to have on your mobile devices. And last on the list, Genshin Impact, the gold standard, the number 1. It has the OST, it has the story, it has the voice acting, it has the marketing, it has the fandom, it has what Path to Nowhere wishes it had. It has what every gacha game, or even like some games as a service wish they had. The Genshin Impact fandom is absolutely insane. I love seeing cosplayers in the anime expos, the Crunchyroll expos, all the different cons and stuff. I really like Genshin Impact, but the thing that hurts it the most, it's not the gameplay, it's the end game. There is going to be no end game. The devs have already hinted towards that, and hopefully that means it's going to be replaced as the best overall gold standard game in 2023. I hope it does, because we need more competition, and I want something as grand as and impactful as Genshin Impact. If you saw the thing that I did there, then you're pretty awesome. But yeah, Genshin Impact could definitely use some work on its end game, but as far as overall fandom and gameplay mechanics, I think people still enjoy it. I know people love it for sure because it's still the most popular thing that I see on the blog. But yeah, that was the year of 2022. It was really great. There was so many genre defining stuff. Path to Nowhere is still my favorite, and I have to send a huge thank you to GamerSubs. Make sure to check them out. You get a discount if you use my code BORK on your checkout, and it just really supports the channel when you guys click the link and whatnot. But gacha games of 2022, it's been really nice. I am looking forward to 2023. I'm not going to lie. Feel free to check out my latest video on that. I really enjoy the list. But yeah, let me know in the comments if there's something that I missed, if there's an opinion you agree with, disagree with, if there's something that you want me to look at in the near future. But 2022 has come to an end, and I really just want to send a huge thank you for watching the channel. And this is the last video of the year, and yeah, it's just been so much fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed 2022 overall, And once again, just thank you so much for the continued support. Without you guys, I wouldn't do this. And, you know, my motivation is based off of how you guys just interact with me on the YouTubes. And it's just been really fun. Hopefully we continue in 2023, you know, whatever it entails. But anyways, if you made it this far in today's video, consider subscribing, dropping a like, leaving a comment. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see my face and my workouts and what I do on the regs. There's going to be a cosplay, you know, con, anime LA, and then there's also going to be the anime impulse that I'll be attending. So see you there if you're there. If not, it's fine. 40k subs, we're doing a giveaway once again. And thanks so much for watching. Let's go into 2023 with a bang. See you guys in the next one.